your heart. Keep it in your pocket for safekeeping.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day wherever you are. Today I'll be showing you how I made this off-shoulder dress, so keep on watching.
Get in the way, can't be defined by your mistakes. You know you try and you try really hard, but sometimes you fall.
To make the dress pattern, you're going to need two measurements. The first measurement is your fullest part of your body plus 4 inches sewing allowance. For me, my fullest part is my hips, which are 40 inches plus 4, which gives me 44 inches. The second measurement is your length, which is your chest to desired length plus 3 inches hemming allowance. For me, my desired length is to my knees, which is 31 inches plus 4, which gives me 34 inches. The first step in making this dress, you're going to fold your fabric in half like so, and then you're going to iron the fold line because we will use that as a guide later. The second step is going to be marking half of our width, mine being 44 inches divided by 2, which gives me 22 inches, and I will mark that on my fabric. And remember guys that your width is the fullest part of your body plus 4 inches, and the measurement you get, that is going to be your width. After marking our width, we are now going to mark down our desired length, mine being 34 inches, and I will mark 34 inches on my fabric. And after we've marked both our length and width, we are now going to cut. After we've cut our piece, we are now going to open our fabric, and we are going to be cutting in the middle or on that fold line that I told you before, so that we can have both the front piece and a back piece. For this next step, it's going to be optional, and that is adding the lining. I'm adding the lining on my fabric because my fabric is very see-through. If yours is not, then you can go ahead and skip this to where we are sewing the pieces together. So now to make our lining, we are going to take our lining fabric and fold it in half. Then we are going to take one piece of our dress pattern and we'll place it on top of our lining, and then we will cut. Now we have our two pieces of lining, and next we are going to make our lining 3 inches shorter than our main fabric. And I'm really sorry guys, I lost the footage of me cutting it. Now we're going to sew our pieces together, and I've already pinned that side. We're going to take our fabric with the right sides facing each other, and then we are going to pin the sides, and then we will sew along this side and this side. And for those who are using a lining, we are going to be sewing along the sides just the same way as we are doing on our main fabric. And we are going to be sewing with a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. After I've sewn the sides together, I'm going to go ahead and overlock the edges to stop them from fraying. If you don't have a serger, you can use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. And I will be repeating the same for my lining. The next step is going to be hemming the top of our dress, and this is for those who aren't using a lining. And you will hem by folding in twice 1 inch, and then you will sew all around, leaving a 2-inch space, and that's where you're going to be inserting our elastic band. For those who are using a lining, we're going to take our lining and turn it inside out, and then we're going to be placing it on our main fabric with the right sides facing each other like so. After that, we are now going to be hemming the top of our dress, and we will do that by folding in 1 inch twice as we did before, and then we will hem leaving about 2 inches space for our elastic band. After we've sewn the top, we're going to take a safety pin and our elastic and we are going to insert it through the opening and pull it through. Then after that, we are going to take the two ends together and we are going to do a zigzag stitch. Be sure to do a couple of stitches to be able to secure it in place, and then after that you're going to trim down the excess elastic band and then we are going to close down the opening. So for the next step, we're going to be hemming the bottom of our dress, and there's two ways to do this. The first way is if you've already like serged the edges or zigzag the edges, then you can fold over once 1 inch and then sew. But if you haven't serged or zigzagged the edges, the second step is just by folding in 1/2 inch twice. And for those who are using a lining, we're going to hem the bottom of our lining by repeating the same exact steps as I explained earlier. To make our sleeves, we are going to need two measurements. The first measurement is your width, which is your bicep measurement plus 5 inches. Mine is 12 plus 5, which gives me 17 inches. The second measurement is the sleeve length, which is your bicep to wrist measurement plus 2 inches hemming allowance, and mine is 19 inches plus 2, which gives me 21 inches. I have taken a piece of fabric and have folded it in half so that we can get 2 sleeves. I'm then going to measure the width of my sleeve, which is 17 inches, and I will mark on this fabric. After we have marked the width of our sleeves, we are now going to mark 23 inches, which is the length of our sleeves. And after we've marked both measurements, we are now going to go ahead and cut. The next step, we're going to open this up and then we're going to be cutting in the middle so that we can have 2 sleeves. Next up, we're going to sew our sleeves together and we're going to be taking one sleeve and then we'll fold it in half, and then we're going to pin it and then sew along this side with a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. I've serged the edges of my sleeves off camera, and if you don't have a serger, you can go ahead and use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. Next, we're going to be hemming our sleeves and we will be folding in 1 inch on all sleeves, and then we're going to leave about 2 inch opening, and that's where we're going to be inserting our elastic band. Here I've got 4 pieces of elastic. The 2 smaller pieces are for my wrist and the other 2 pieces are for my biceps. To get the elastic band measurement, you just need to take your elastic band and put it around your wrist. Make sure that it isn't so tight or loose. And for the biceps, you will repeat the same exact steps as you did for the wrist. So now we're going to be inserting our elastic band with a safety pin all through the spaces that we left, and we're going to repeat on all sides. After we've pulled our elastic band through, the next step is going to be sewing the 2 ends of elastic bands together with a zigzag stitch, and we're going to repeat the same exact steps on all elastic bands. And after you're done sewing that, make sure that you close the opening. Our next step is attaching our sleeves to our dress, and we will do that by taking one sleeve, place it on our dress while matching the side seams together like so, and then we are going to sew 2 inches across, and we are going to repeat the same on the other sleeve. To make the belt, you're going to need two measurements. The first measurement is the width, which is 5 inches. The second measurement is the length of your belt, which is your waist measurement multiplied by 2, and mine is 29 multiplied by 2, which gives me 58 inches. I've already cut my belt, and to sew our belt we're going to start by folding it in half like so. Then we're going to take the two ends and mark about 3 inches from each end. So now we're going to draw a straight line from that mark to this edge. And now we're going to be cutting along that line. After cutting that out, we're now going to pin and sew all around, and then we're going to leave about 2 inches space. That is where we're going to be turning this piece inside out. And we're going to sew this with a 3/8 of an inch sewing allowance. After sewing, we're now going to trim down the excess sewing allowance, and then after that we are going to be turning this piece inside out through that space that we left. After we've turned it, our last step is closing down that opening, and we're done, guys. So this is how our dress turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my sewing videos, you can subscribe to my channel. Anyway, thank you so much guys for watching, and God bless. Bye.